Hi guys, I have an interview today, and so I will be using this opportunity to show you how I accomplish this soft interview ready makeup look. One of the first things you always need to do is get your brows and your lids prepped and ready to go. I already got this done off camera, so I also want to apologize for the lighting. I'm not home in my usual space with better lighting, so for now we'll just have to make do. Once your lids and your eyebrows are done, you want to start covering up your areas of concern with a concealer that matches your skin tone. So any hyperpigmentation, dark marks, or anything that you have concern with, you want to go ahead and cover that up. And some people have a little bit darker marks or have more of a hyperpigmentation problem, so you may need to use color corrector to help you cover that, since sometimes concealer just isn't enough. It's sometimes very sheer, or maybe medium coverage and not necessarily full coverage, so you'll have to decide what type of skin you have and what you need. Once you have covered up your hyperpigmentation or areas of concern, then you can start applying your concealer to your T-zone area. Typically this will be a lighter shade than your natural skin tone, because these are the areas you want to pop, you want them to be highlighted, you want them to be brighter. So your T-zone area is your forehead, underneath your eyes, your chin. So once you've applied your lighter concealer shade there, you will begin to blend out. And I can't stress or emphasize enough how important blending is. It doesn't matter how good or how expensive your products are. If you do not have blending down packed, you will not have a flawless makeup look. Your makeup will not come out looking bomb, okay? So just keep that in mind. You try to blend out as much as possible, and bear in mind we're not using foundation today, because again it is a light makeup application, because we want it to be soft, we want it to be gentle, we want it to be appropriate for the interview. You're not going to a glam session, so this is work, right? You're kind of simulating a work day, so you want to just be put together. Once you have blended out the concealer in your T-zone area, then you can begin to apply your cream contour product around the parameters of your face, which will essentially be below your cheekbone, your jawline, your forehead. So these are all of the areas that you want to add a little bit of depth or warmth to. Once you have placed your product, then you will begin to blend it. And remember, we did not apply foundation, so this is where you will be bringing your concealer and your cream contour product together. Again, this is where blending will come in, so you do need to have this technique down packed, is ensuring your blending is tight, right? This is what's going to make you look really, really beautiful and have your makeup looking flawless. So you kind of blend everything out and kind of start bringing everything together. Where your concealer and your contour product meets, you want it to be kind of diffused and have this like gradient flow, so from flowing from dark to light or from light to dark, and having that transition in between those areas. That is what makes your makeup look like it's flowing. Once you have blended your concealer and your contour product, then you will begin adding your foundation powder to set your makeup that you've applied so far. And you're essentially adding this around the areas, you're essentially adding this in the areas where you did not directly apply product. So keep that in mind. Once you have set your areas with your foundation powder, then you will start setting your concealer areas. So anywhere you apply concealer, you're going to begin to set that as well. So you will add a bronzer setting, you will add a powder bronzer to your cream contour areas. You'll add a lighter setting powder to your the areas you added concealer. So you want to use a powder that matches the concealer shade wherever you've placed a concealer. So wherever you have light concealer, you want to use a light setting powder. Wherever you have a darker contour product, you want to use a darker setting bronzer powder to set that, if that makes sense. So right here I am setting my under eyes, and I'm using a very light pink powder, loose setting powder, to set that, because I want to keep the integrity of that shade under my eye. I want it to be light, I want it to be soft, and I want it to be very, very, very light and soft basically. So again, remember, we're adding this light loose setting powder to the concealer area. So that was my forehead, under my eyes, on my chin. So that's what I'm placing here. And as you're going along and you're doing your makeup, you want to ensure everything is even. Symmetry is very, very, very important. So just keep that in mind. So here I'm adding a little bit of a darker powder bronzer to the parameters of my face. Wherever I added the cream contour stick, that's where I am setting with a darker powder. And you want to ensure again that everything is gradually coming together as you're going along. So you constantly have to check, what is your makeup looking like? What are your each side looking like? Is your face balanced? Do you have symmetry? Because that is important. You don't want one side of your face to look lifted and the other side to look long. So you want to keep that in mind, right? You go over and add any touch-ups to any area that looks maybe like it's missing something. You will, as you become better at your makeup, you will kind of figure out, okay, I'm missing something here. This needs to be balanced here. This needs to look like this other side, and you'll know what you need to apply. You'll know what's missing and what needs to be touched up, right? And so as I'm going along, I'm noticing little areas that I need to touch up. For example, here I need to touch up a little bit with my brows. I usually use a little bit more brow product. I didn't bring anything else with me, so I just have to use my pencil. So I'm going through and seeing, where do I need to fill a little bit more? Where do I need to diffuse the lines a little bit more? Because again, you don't want your makeup to be having like harsh definitive lines. Everything needs to be blurred out essentially. Yes, your brows needs to look sharp, and that's where like concealing and outlining your brow comes in. But when you start adding the filling, it needs to be like a hair-like stroke, not sharp dark marks. So you do have to diffuse that out. Once you have completed all of that, then you can add a little bit of depth and warmth to your lids, and that's what I'm doing. Remember earlier I said I did prep my lids before I started recording, so my lids were already prepped and ready to go. And here I'm just adding a little bit of a light nude tone to my lids, and then I will be adding a darker tone. So the light tone acts as a transition shade for the darker tone bronzer that I will be adding to my lids. And I'm not using a palette that says, oh, this is eyeshadow. I'm using literally the bronzing powder that I used on my cheek is what I'm using on my eyes. So you can cross use products. You don't have to use eyeshadow for your eyelids. You can use bronzer as well. Once you have done all of that, you will set your makeup, and setting your makeup just kind of adds a little bit more life back into your face because you've added some powders and all of that, which can kind of make you look a little bit ghosty or make you look dead, right? So keep that in mind. That's what setting does. It holds your makeup together, but it also brings back a little bit of life into your face. Once you have set your makeup, then you start adding your lip products. And I usually use a darker liner for my lips, and then I go in with a nude tone. Again, remember that you're getting interview ready for your makeup, so you want to use something light, and also you don't have to. You can go with whatever lip combo you prefer, but for me, I like something a little bit more subtle and appropriate. And so I feel like a nude tone is very appropriate for an interview. So everything I'm going light. I'm going light for everything that I'm doing with this makeup look. Then you can start doing your mascara. You always want to do your mascara after you have used setting spray, because the setting spray can essentially re-wet your mascara and cause it to smudge smudge around your eyes, and that will be very hectic and chaotic to try to clean up. So always set your face first, then you apply your mascara. So I always do a coat of brown mascara followed by a coat of black. I feel like it balances out the mascara and the sharpness of it. I feel like mixing the brown and the black balances out the sharpness of it, and so it looks a little bit more subtle but still very vibrant but subtle in a sense. So yeah, that is usually my go-to as of in recent times is using a coat of brown followed by a coat of black, and I do that for the top lashes as well as the bottom lashes. And once you have applied your mascara, again, you're continuously checking to see what you need to touch up, what needs to be redone, what you need to add, and all of that. What I did not add on here, or what I did not record, was that I went back and added a little bit more of a brightening setting powder that is like an illuminating powder. It's a Laura Mercier powder, and it has shimmer in it, so I used that under my eyes just to give it a little bit more of a pop. And I'm so glad I did that, because I think my makeup came out so fantastic. I was in love with it. It was just very soft, and you know, it's like giving put together but not doing too much and all of that. So I loved how it came out. But then I added a little bit of blush. Again, we're not doing anything super crazy. We're going really light. And what I always do is go with a very light hand when you're applying blush, especially depending on the occasion, because you can always add more if it's not enough, but it's very difficult to take away or reduce something when it comes to makeup. So you always just want to build up rather than try to take away. I did use a little bit of Fenty gloss on top of the lip combo that I did. It gave this really nice, cute, pink, flirty look, and I love that. It was very subtle because I did, like I said, I used a nude shade of the Fenty Gloss Bomb sticks, and the pink Fenty lip gloss just really added that extra touch. And this was my final look, and I loved how it came out. This is me getting ready and just checking out if I needed to touch up anything else, and admiring how it came out, because nothing beats like a soft glam. I love a good soft glam. Very appropriate for everyday wear, any day wear, and it didn't take long. This is your 15-minute makeup routine for an interview or just a day on the town, something that you don't want to do too much. So I hope you guys loved how this came out, and I would love to hear your feedback. This is my full outfit. Have a good one.